All right, we are back with another Money Moves. Hello, everybody. Hello, Wendy Lee. How are you doing today?
Good. Happy Tuesday. Good to see you.
I know, right? This is a good time, and school is back in session for most people across the country. So, getting back to some kind of normalcy, which is always a good thing, if there is such a thing as normal.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But that's not why we're here today. We're here actually talking about the top three questions you didn't know to ask about your money. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. If you do know these questions, we're going to talk a little in depth about them. But yeah, three things that you should be asking yourself about your money and asking about your money. So we're going to get into that in just a few seconds. Do us a favor, grab a pen and paper. Unless you're driving and listening to us on a podcast, then just listen up. You can always go back later, but we'll get started in just a few seconds. All right, so let's talk about the questions about your money. So, the big question I think a lot of people don't really pay attention to is all about why the credit score, why your credit score is so critical, right? Not
Mhm.
yours, Wendy Lee, but yours, the listener, yours, the viewer. Talk to me a little bit about credit score. Why do you think credit scores are so important?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we talk about this sometimes, but we live in Dave Ramsey country, and
Mhm.
people are like, it doesn't matter. Credit score doesn't matter. But when it comes to truly building wealth, you want to be able to use credit as leverage when it's something that's going to make you
OPM,
money.
that's right.
Yeah, and you don't have really an opportunity to do that with a bad credit score. Also, I know for me personally, I sold a house and then my last two places I've rented. And even renting a home, uh, people check your credit score, right? So
Yeah.
those are just two things, but there's lots of
Yeah,
things.
that's really, I mean, how banks and other individuals get to know you. Back in the day, and we've talked about this in the past, you were able to go down the street in your local community, and they knew who you were, a good, upstanding person. Yes, they'll
Yeah.
pay us back. Credit scores didn't exist. Well, now in our high-speed technology work-driven world, that credit score is everything. And like you said, you may not always be able to just have the cash on hand.
Right.
Most of us out there don't, even for, I wouldn't call them large purchases, but, you know, getting your car repaired or things like that. Some people have to go to the credit card and things like that. Or if you're making a major purchase like a car, a house, or maybe you want to buy a rental property or a business,
Right.
you're going to want to be able to take advantage of that and leverage what Robert Kiyosaki refers to as OPM, other people's money, right?
Mhm.
There are a lot of businesses out there for sale. Baby boomers are retiring, getting rid of their businesses, so there's a lot of opportunity out there. You want to buy rental properties, that's starting to heat up again, and I think will continue to heat up over the next 18 months.
Mhm.
That's something where if you don't have a credit score available to you, you're not going to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Not to mention when you do buy things on credit, they have those credit rating, the scores, right? I think it goes from, I believe, 350 or 400 up to 850,
Mhm.
right? That's the cap. There's a lot of great apps out there if you're trying to get your score. There's Credit Wise, that's the app I use. There's also Credit Karma, so pick your flavor. But they can give you kind of scenarios on how you can improve your credit, and they actually work. I've done that with Credit Wise, and it was amazing the results I got. And kind of you can run scenarios on the what ifs. But if you don't have a good credit score, you may actually end up paying more for
Right.
something that your next door neighbor did. Even if you bought the exact same thing from the exact same dealer, for example, if you're buying a car, you may end up actually paying quite a bit more. Why? Because of your credit score, you got a higher interest rate,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that again, the whole goal of this show is to keep money in people's pockets, and that's one of the main factors to do it. Now, like you said, we're part of Dave Ramsey, and what does Dave say about credit or say about credit?
to never use it, and you don't need a
All
credit
credit
score.
is bad. Yeah, exactly. And that's just horrible advice. I mean, do not do not, and this is what I'm telling myself he intended was using credit for everyday purchases like
Right.
groceries, things like that. But unfortunately, with inflation and everything that the current economy is in due to the current administration,
Mhm.
some people are having to do that because of the fact that
Yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, we talked about inflation and it's 20% plus higher than it was, January of 2021. So it's crazy
Mhm.
times right now. But
And I think when you don't have a high credit score, you're robbed of opportunity. You rob yourself of opportunities because I mean, I was in a class once for investing and they were talking about like it doesn't matter how much the credit costs if what you're investing in is going to give you a much higher return, right? Like if it costs 16%, but you're going to make 35, right? It's particularly more about the real estate, right? You're not getting that in the market.
mhm, yeah.
But we rob ourselves of the opportunity when our credit score is high and either we can't borrow or we have to borrow at such high interest rates.
Yeah, yeah, your credit score being low causes you to have that higher interest rate. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's the opportunity cost.
Mhm.
You've heard about that before, and that's really one of the factors that they're contributing to that is, the fact that again, like you pay more for a car than your neighbor does, you're actually earning less on the same real estate investment because your expenses are higher
Right.
for that credit score. So that's why it's really critical. So that's a big item that most people overlook. I think another big item, and I just talked to a client about this last week, is bank fees, right? What are bank fees and how do I avoid them? And it seems like banks anymore, especially the big banks, the large banks that everybody knows. I'm not going to name names. They charge you for every little thing,
Mhm.
and it's like if you have an overdraft, if you have a late fee on one of their credit cards. I mean, if you're late, and I'm not talking 30 days late where it impacts your credit, but you're 24 hours late,
Yeah.
you're hit with sometimes 25, 30, $35 fee or more, and that's a bank fee, and that's part of the ways that banks are making money,
Making money. Yeah.
the fees.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak a ton to this. I guess I can hold banks, but right now I can't remember the last time I paid a bank fee. So that's good news. Which we did a show on the bank that I use.
Mhm.
But yeah, I used to I I don't remember what bank it was back in the day. I don't think they are around anymore. Fifth Third, I think it was.
No, they're still around.
Um, oh, are they? Sorry, Fifth Third. But back in the day, I remember, having like a monthly fee for my savings account or checking, I can't remember. And then, uh, yeah, back when, you're young and not balancing the checkbook and things like that. And I would do overdrafts. And I remember those getting me pretty good at one point in time. But yeah, there are options out there. So make sure you shop your bank because
Mhm.
I don't, yeah, I can't remember the last time I paid a bank fee. However, credit card fees
Well,
too, you know,
yeah. Yeah.
with your
And
bank.
that's a couple things. And the thing on the bank fees, right? The traditional bank fees, a lot of them, if you don't have a certain balance amount,
Right.
then you have to pay a monthly fee. And I know that the bank that I was using, if you didn't have, I believe it was over $10,000 in your account, they were charging like a $25 fee.
Mm.
And so it's like, and not just for one account, and I've got multiple accounts because we talk about the TPG money split system.
Mhm.
So I was getting hit for every one of them. Now, as you kind of stack money, then they start waiving those fees. But you know, I've got two words for you as far as bank fees: credit unions. Talk to your credit union. Most credit unions are very user friendly, no fees because you're a member and you can have multiple accounts, and it's just a very much more customer driven environment culture, if you will.
Mhm.
And that's one way to do it. The other thing on the NSF fees, if you're able to do it, and I know a lot of people don't like to keep a lot of money in their checking account in case their debit card gets hacked or whatever. I mean, I just saw that somewhere there were 270 million social security numbers that were just compromised. I mean, so it's crazy out there. But as far as the bank fees, having an account that your main checking account can pull from in
Mhm.
case you do, forget to log a check, and not that anybody's writing checks anymore, but an auto pay or something like that. That way you don't get hit for the fee. And you'll notice, whoa, this pulled out of my other account. What's going on? But you didn't get hit with a $35 NSF fee or multiple $35 NSF fees because something hit your account that wasn't supposed to, because it does happen. The other thing too, going back to the credit card fees that you were talking about, if you've got a credit card and you're usually on time and you've been a client with them, do not be afraid to pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, look, I've been a loyal customer of yours of XYZ. And it happens, right? You meant to send the check in, or you're doing the auto draft and your bank, doesn't pay it in time because it's a Thursday or a Friday, or there's a holiday involved. So the amount was delayed by a day or two. And all of a sudden you get hit with an NSF fee, or not an NSF, excuse me, a late fee. And you're sitting there like, oh man, that sucks. I guess I just have to eat it. No. Pick up the phone, call them, be nice. Don't, it's, my grandma always told me it's easier to attract flies with honey than vinegar. So make sure you call them up and just say, hey, look, I've been a loyal customer. I've had it happen. I'm not proud, but things happen. You get sidetracked with this, that, or the other. I'm not a big fan of auto drafts because I forget they're going, and then all of a sudden they keep drafting after it's paid off. So it's one of those that be bold, right? Pick up the phone and call them. And in most cases, if you're a client with good standing, they'll waive that for you.
I've learned from John Cleaver that everything is negotiable.
That's right, man. I am squeaky. I'm not cheap, but I am thrifty. There we go. We'll put it that way. But those are some of the ways. So again, the credit unions, and one of the big challenges I had with credit unions was the fact that they don't have any local ATMs. The way they've got it set up now with their ATM network, my credit union that I use, I live in Chattanooga. There's not even a branch within 90 miles of me. How online banking and stuff has evolved, I don't pay any ATM fees. Now, if I'm in another bank and pull money out of the ATM, which, a lot of people don't carry cash anymore, I get reimbursed from my credit union. I get like 3.5% on my checking account. And that's, you show me a bank that's paying 3.5%. Come on, really? On anything besides a CD, right? And so, they're just very user friendly. But so how do you avoid bank fees? There you go. Set up a backup account. That way, if your bill account gets overdrafted, you don't get hit with NSF fees. And make sure you're looking for a bank or a credit union that's, doesn't have a minimum balance requirement, doesn't charge you some ungodly rate for your checking account and savings accounts, and get comfortable with online banking, right? We've talked about it. We've got a whole episode on that. So the last thing, I'm sorry. Did you have more to add on that?
We're good.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and pull us into the last section then, Wendy.
So how should I prepare financially for retirement? It's a big question we get a lot, because I think a lot of people have an advisor that says, put this percent away, and then they just set it and forget it and don't take into account all the factors of taxes and increased inflation and all that.
Well, and if you're a Gen Xer or a millennial or Gen Z, and if Social Security is a big part of your plan, you're screwed at that point. Gen X, we're getting hosed with Social Security. I'm just going to tell you right now, because we've been forced to put that in all of our lives, and it's supposed to run out right about the time we start hitting retirement age, that traditional retirement age. But I think it'll still be there, still pay out something, but what it'll actually buy, we'll see. But the traditional amount, I think a lot of people, they lock on one or two things. They think, okay, well, I'm just going to put it in my 401k, and they think 10% is the magic number. Put 10% of your income away and you're going to be fine. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, that is not accurate at all. 10% is a great place to start. When you're, in your 20s, most people start getting serious about saving about 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there. Get that first, good paying job. And they start settling down, they meet that special someone, start talking about, house, kids, and all that stuff. So at that point, they start putting money in. And traditionally, we've heard save 10%. Well, yeah, in your 20s, you want to save, 10%. If you can't start there, start with something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, Wendy, do you think 10% is going to get it by the time you retire?
No. I mean, and everybody's different. I guess if you make $1 million a year, maybe 10% is good. But So
Oh, I'm talking your average Joe and Jane
it's
on
your
the
average
street,
person,
right?
no. And it's, that's something like I ignored until I was 40. I think I did
Hmm.
my financial plan with you when I was 40, 41, something like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I ignored it till then. And I'm like, it'll work itself out.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Oh, it'll all work out. I've got plenty of time. Well, if you're a Gen Xer or maybe even a millennial, you're realizing, oh crap, this time really flies by.
It does.
And so, ideally, if you can start saving 10%, especially before you start spending it,
Mhm.
and that's what happens. Rather than our savings going up, our spending goes up.
Right. Right.
And so that's one of the traps most people
Yeah.
fall into. But what you're saving at 25, you should be saving more at
Yes.
35. You should be saving even more at 45. Ideally, you want to get up to about 25% of your income should be going into growth accounts. Now, the question then becomes, okay, well, where do I put it? Do I put it all in my 401k?
Right.
No. I joke that a 401k is like grocery shopping at a gas station convenience mart. If you need milk or bread or whatever, canned good, dog food, they got some stuff in there. Very limited selection, and you're going to pay through the
A
nose for it.
lot.
So
Yeah.
401ks are pay to play for those providers that are in there. I'm not going to get into all that, how that works, but it's the same thing like at a grocery store. Those items you see at eye level, they pay to be on that shelf.
Mhm.
So you see them and it's easy and convenient, but you definitely want to go after match. Why?
Free
Free
money.
money. Yeah. It's something like, you walk out, there's $100 bill laying on the ground by your car door. You're going to pick it up. I would. And so you definitely want to make sure you're getting that free money, but not a penny over for a couple of different reasons. Like I said, one, okay, I need to be saving money. I know that. Number two is I want that free money from my company because I'm getting a match, sometimes 3, 4, 5. The highest I've ever seen is 8%, dollar per dollar. Which was very, very generous. But a lot of companies are starting to do away with that. So then the question becomes, okay, if I'm putting away that 5 or 6%, where do I go put my money?
Mhm.
Well, I can open up, an Acorn account, or I can open up, one of these online apps and just start socking money. I can put it all in crypto, right? And I'm going to be a bajillionaire. No, right? You need to have what?
Protected assets. Is that what
Well,
you're looking
protected
for?
assets, but you got to have a plan,
Oh, a
right?
plan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
to
you
have
got
a
to know what you're
plan.
doing and how much are you going to need in retirement. Most people we talk
Yeah.
to, I mean, that's my favorite question to ask people. How much do you think you'd need on a monthly basis in your retirement years? And everybody's like, I don't
Yeah, they have no idea.
know.
And so a
Yeah.
good place to start with that is, okay, well, what you're making today, is that going to be cool when you're in retirement? Because I'm going to tell you right now, folks, that whole line you hear from traditional advisors where you won't need as much money in retirement. That is the biggest lie, if not, yeah, it's one of the top 3 lies that financial advisors say to the clients. And I don't think they do it intentionally. I don't think it's like a malicious lie, but it's just a misguided, statement. I mean, you think about it, retirement is what? You're free to do what you want. You've got no money
Mhm.
coming in. And what's the most expensive day of the week now while you're working is Saturday. Well, in retirement, every day is a
Every day.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. And so now you get to travel, now you get to golf, now you get to go do stuff. You get to go thrifting, you get to go antiquing, whatever your thing is, right? You get to do it like every day. Not that you would, but it's one of those things that it gets more expensive. And do you really want to take a pay cut?
Right.
Really want to take a pay cut?
Yeah, my parents definitely spend more money now that they're retired. Definitely. Because they're, want to take, I mean, they took me and my kids to Florida. They were like, we want to take you guys on a trip. Right. And they're helping out, grandkids with different things. And
Yeah.
they go thrifting, I think 5 days a week.
Yeah.
We only spent $2 on this and $17 on this, every day. So,
Well, and that's the thing, right? You've got
yeah.
to figure out, and use today's dollars, folks, because, get a plan. If you mention the show, reach out to us. We'll actually give you a free financial plan. Do something with it or not, that's you. But at least you've got a game plan. I mean, it's like
Mhm.
taking the family on a vacation to Disney World. You're not just going to start driving on a road and hope you end up at Disney World. No, you're going to plan it. You're going to plan when you go in. Are we going to eat
Mhm.
before? Are we going to spend, $85 for a bologna sandwich when we're in the park? Or are we going to have some drinks, or what are we going to do, right? To plan this out to make it, to maximize my efficiency on my money, right?
Mhm.
You're not just going to get in and hope it all works out. Most people, though, will spend more time planning a vacation than they actually do their retirement.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to get a plan, understand where am I trying to go and by when.
Mhm.
I talk to younger people and they want to retire. I want to retire when I'm 45. It's like, okay, life clearly hasn't punched you in the gut yet. But it's like, okay, well, let's just go with a traditional age because you can adjust it accordingly. You can retire tomorrow if you want to. It just may not be the retirement you want or envision for
Mhm.
yourself. But, really going through and kind of planning for that, preparing for it. And then the question becomes, where do I put my money? Well, you want to grab that free money from your 401k. But then I also want to diversify my strategies. I want to diversify my taxes. I don't want to pay it all later. Well, why would no one pay it all later? I'm saving money on taxes now. That's what my advisors. Well, okay. Again, that's the other misnomer out there is, you look at the next 5, 10, 20 years. Do you think income taxes are going to go up or go down? Well, more than likely go up. And if I'm not taking a pay cut, because I don't want to take a pay cut in retirement, I want to go enjoy my life. I work my butt off.
Mhm.
Guess what? You're going to be paying more in taxes and you lost all your tax deductions other than the standard deduction.
Yeah.
Not putting money in your 401k. You're not really donating to charity. You're donating your time to that charity. You don't get to write off the little tax credits called children. They still may be living in your basement, but you don't get to write them off
Yeah.
anymore. And then, lastly, your mortgage. I mean, even if you haven't paid it off, all that mortgage deduction is up front. It's front
Mhm.
loaded, right? The banks aren't stupid. Most mortgages refinance within 7 years, so they want all their interest up front, and so you lose that deduction as well. So then it's okay. Well, so you want to have a vast chunk of that money post tax
Yeah.
because taxes are historically low right now, believe it or not.
Mhm.
So to kind of wrap up, to close up, we went a little long today, especially on 3 questions, but these are really critical items. Your credit score is important because it's going to help you keep more of your money and give you the opportunity to leverage other people's
Yeah.
money to make things happen for you and your financial wealth journey, right? Bank fees, those little nickel and dimes here and there, that's something that most Americans face, and you don't have to, right? Get comfortable with online banking. If you're, a boomer and you're a little more concerned about that, have your Gen X kid or your millennial kid kind of show you the ropes. It's actually super simple anymore. And then number 3 is, how should I prepare for retirement? Well, start off if you're in your 20s listening to us, start off at 10%. Start saving money now because you've got time and that's going to help you compound much easier. You got more time, you need less money.
Yeah.
Have less time getting a late start. Guess what? You need to put more money in it to hit your financial goals and have a plan. That's the big thing, right? Have that plan. So I don't know. Anything else to throw in there, Wendy? We kind of went a little long today, but what do you
It's
got?
good
Anything else?
stuff. It's important. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, folks, again, great being with you here. If you love us, do me a favor. Help us with those algorithms. Give us a little like, make a comment. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got a topic that you want to hear about, please reach out to us, let us know, and we'll talk about it. We'll get you on here, maybe even bring you on to have a conversation. But again, thanks everybody. We'll see you here next Tuesday for another Money Moves.